Welcome back to another episode of Dad Can We Talk, to another season of Dad Can We Talk. This is the first episode of season 3. Man, it's been we 6 months strong right now. We've been going hard. You know, I'm feeling good about, the narrative that's changing about fatherhood. And, I just continue to ask y'all to continue to support the podcast, continue to support fatherhood, continue to support Black fatherhood, man. That's what we're about at Dad Can We Talk. We are actively changing the narrative through our lifestyles, through the way that we love our children, through the way that we provide for our families. And we just want to continue to be the example for generations to come. And for those that are watching right now. But today, I want y'all to welcome to the show a father of one, an advisory board member of GPD, an entrepreneur, and another Black man who is helping to change the narrative around Black fatherhood. I want y'all to welcome to the show Fareed Johnson. How you doing, my brother?
Man, listen, it is a pleasure to be on the podcast.
Yeah.
It is, man. I love what you're doing with the podcast, man. This whole narrative around fathers and, like you said, Black fathers, man, it's an amazing thing. And this is creative. I like the idea of Dad Can We Talk, because a lot of individuals don't have these conversations with their dads. And we gotta create a platform where we can sit down and actually talk to our fathers. Me personally, I didn't grow up with my biological father. I grew up with something like a surrogate. He wasn't my actual stepfather because him and my mom weren't actually together anymore. But he came into my life, and that's my father. That's who I know to be my father. And even though he'll tell you himself, out of all his kids, we are probably the closest.
Yeah.
But even with that relationship, it probably was just a few years ago when I really started to feel like I can actually sit down and talk to my dad. Mm-hmm. So this is an amazing thing that you created. So I appreciate it.
That's real. You kind of hit on my first question that I usually ask. What was your relationship like with your dad? And when you say that, you grew up with that surrogate dad, like where was it something happened with your biological dad? What was that relationship like?
My mom was living in Miami at the time that she got pregnant with me. And she looked around, she said, Miami, this is not where I want to be at. So she headed on back home to Gainesville. And my biological father, he was deep into the street selling drugs. He also had 2 other women pregnant at the time. So I got two twin brothers. We all 28 years old. The youngest one, I think he turns 28 this month. But yeah, man, I got 2 twin brothers, man. He's deep into the streets, and whenever she left Miami and said she wasn't looking back, she didn't look back on him either. And I don't regret it. We have communication. He's actually in prison right now doing like 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and that I'm not a judge, and I wasn't there. He tells me that what happened didn't happen. That's between him and God. Yeah. It's not for me to say, well, he's innocent or guilty. But nevertheless, he's in prison doing it 40 years now. So that's, our relationship. We email and stuff like that from time to time. I get happy birthdays from him and Merry Christmases and stuff like that. And, every now and again we have a conversation in between that. But my surrogate father, my dad, he came into my life when I was 6 months old. Him and mom started dating or whatever. They ended up having 2 of my brothers. And that's just been my dad ever since, man. That was the man that dropped me off to college.
All right.
That was the man that watched me graduate from the military. So that's my dad,
Yeah.
And, even those 2 events, it was just him.
Yeah.
Even my mom wasn't there. Like, my dad was there.
All right.
So that's our relationship. Like, we got a tight bond. We do.
That's real. How would you say that really, growing up as a man, like, how do you believe that affected the man, made you into the man that you became by having that dad there, having that presence, like you saying, like being able to have someone that a man that you could turn to, you know, when you're going through certain times in your life, like, you know, like you said, college and stuff, and just being able, like, having that presence of a man around you. How would you say that affected you?
Man, just knowing he been through the stuff that I've been through.
Yeah.
Looking up to him, man. Like I said, I chose to go into the military. The reason why I chose to go into the military is because I watched him. He was in the military. And I remember weekends whenever he would come pick us up or whatever, he'd come over. We had to wait for him to get out of drill. Come over, he'd be in uniform. And I was like, man, I want to be like my dad. I want to go into the military. Yeah. And he was actually in during September 11th, but he never deployed. But I remember kids in class asking, like, is your dad gonna go to war? Is your dad gonna go to war?
Yeah.
And like that was the thrill, you know. And I looked up to that. I admired that. And like I say, just knowing that one, I've had the opportunity to follow his path and follow in his footsteps. I know that everything that I face in life, he's seen a lot of it.
Yeah.
You know? And so having that understanding and being comfortable now to where I can go and say, you know, Pops, how was this, man? You ever dealt with this? And every time, like, yeah, you know, and we talk about it.
That's real.
So, yeah, it's a blessing, man. It really, it's a blessing.
That's something that I always think about because, you know, I have a lot of conversations with guys. And I think one way it affected me not having a dad, I think it affected my confidence a lot.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
it definitely does.
I feel like I grew up with my confidence just being totally shot because I'm like, you know, I ain't never really had a man to, you know, when I make mistakes, I ain't never have a man there that I could fall back on. Yep. And so it was like, anytime I did anything, it was like, I ain't know who to turn to. You know, I mean, you don't really turn to your homeboys like that. You know, but we ain't talking about that type of stuff.
Right.
And I mean, me and my brother didn't really have that relationship that I wanted that with him, but my brother also grew up with, so he was like in the same situation as me. Yep. And so I always felt like I didn't have that person there that could help guide me through, you know, the hard times in my life, you know, really until I met my pastor. You know, he was like the first man that I was able to just go to and be like, yo, bro, I got some issues. You know, I got this going on. Right. Man, what do I do about this? Yep. And, well, I'm about to have a baby. You know, and just having that man figure there, you know, that you were comfortable talking with, man, it affects that confidence.
It definitely does, man. Especially like I said, once you realize that you're not the first or the last to go through whatever it is that you're going through. That right there gives you a lot of confidence, because it's one thing when you're isolated and you by yourself, but when everybody else either in the same boat or they done been in that boat, it's like, okay, like, whatever. You know, like this whole situation right now with the pandemic, a lot of people feel a little bit of comfort because they're not the only ones losing their job. They're not the only ones on unemployment.
That's real.
And when you look around, it's like, we all in the same boat.
Right.
You know, even if you're working, you might have lost hours or something like that. Yeah. You know, me personally, I lost hours. Yeah. So it's like, hey, I'm blessed to be able to wake up and go to work.
All right.
You know, I'm thankful to be able to wake up and go to work. Other people having to stay home, get unemployment. I was working a ton of overtime. Now the overtime not available. Yeah. So it's a little bit more, it's easier to deal with, and I can look at the bright side. Listen, get to spend time with my daughter now. All right. I get to be a father. You know, I don't have to constantly be on this chase for money.
That's real.
Stay home, spend time with my daughter, go to work whenever I have to. You know, life goes on.
That's real.
We'll come up out of it together.
That's real. And you know, and I've heard that from a lot of people. You know, I listen to podcasts all the time, bro. You know, and I'm always listening to, like, you know, a lot of these NBA players, you know, a couple of celebrities, football players, and, you know, and they say the same thing. You know, it's like, yeah, it's an unfortunate situation, but it's giving us time to really spend the time with our families that we really wouldn't usually spend that time.
Absolutely.
And I'm just like, man, that's so real, you know, and at times, you know, every situation always is going to have, you know, two sides of a coin.
Right. It's going to have its good and its bad.
It's going to have its good and its bad. And, you know, like you said, it's important to be able to see, you know, the good in the situation. Like the words say, you know, all things work together for the good for those that love God. You know, like when you love God and you understand, like, you know, the fact that I don't, like, okay, I have this bad situation and I have this one thing going on, but I can also see the good in it.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I believe that the good in this situation is gonna work in my favor. Yeah. Like, you know, and it just having that outlook on life just helps you tremendously, man, because, you know, I mean, just the fact the world that we're living in, bro, man, all type of stuff is gonna happen. You know, it's always gonna be, you know, something going on.
Absolutely, man.
That's just life, bro.
And as fathers, that's what I think that's the most important thing to understand as a father, is that stuff is gonna happen. Straight you know, my mom used to always talk about how much the world had changed since between the time of her being a kid and us being kids. I was like, oh, what you talking about, Mom? Like, world ain't got no different. It's a good world we living in. But now, as a father, I see it because I'm like, man, my daughter got to grow up in this world.
Crazy. Like, all the technology and all the stuff that's out that they can get into now. It's like, oh, man, it's a tough world. This ain't the same world that I grew up in. Different. It's a lot different, man. And yesterday, I can't remember what it was I was just thinking about yesterday. Oh, teachers. I remember the day when teachers used to call home 7 o'clock. Right. You mess up, man. You know, 6:30, 7 o'clock, phone gonna ring. Because the teacher, she gonna call. Now they send text messages now, you know? And probably some of them even snap your parents, you know, depending on how close they is, man. Might shoot them a Snapchat or a Facebook Messenger DM like, hey, call me. Hey, but, you know, the world is forever changing, man. And technology is it's amazing how fast it's causing the world to change. Yeah, that's real. You know, because, like, I be looking at the app that they use now, Rewind.
Okay.
Something like that. They use some little app like that. And now I communicate with my daughter's teacher there, and I'm like, shoot, I be ready to get on the phone. You know, I want to call. I want to talk to you on the...
Right. She want to text.
Like, I want to talk, you know? And like you say, man, there's so much that's different in this world that we're growing up in. I remember when we were kids, bro, like, now everybody always say, you know, it's like a punishment to tell kids to go outside.
Right.
But I'm like, shoot, when I was a jit boy, it was a punishment that if I couldn't go outside. You know, we want to be out there all.
Yeah, you want to be in the streets.
Hot outside.
Yeah.
You know, we trying to go hoop. You know, man, we playing football.
I don't remember my first hot day until probably about 10 years ago. Yeah. Like, I don't remember it ever being hot outside. But now it's like, man, it's hot. Right. You know, but like you said, when we was kids, man, we weren't fazed by that.
Yeah.
We weren't fazed by that. Like, that hot.
Straight up.
It's Florida.
That's real. Man, how was it when you first found out that you was, you know, expecting a child?
It was a surprise, of course.
Yeah.
Wasn't planned, but I knew that, all right, this is it. Like, it's like when you get that call, you know, you being told, like, hey, man, you going up to varsity.
Yeah.
You know, like, I got to show up now.
Yeah.
So, and I knew that I wanted to be a good father. Mm-hmm. I didn't know nothing else, but I knew I wanted to be a good father. So, I'm learning as we go along, but I'm preparing myself every day for the next day. Mm-hmm. So I just try to stay out in front of my daughter, and just stay out in front of life. Mm-hmm. You know, like I say, man, just looking around, you always see stuff changing. And I'm learning that, hey, if you play defense all the time, your feelings will always be hurt. Your feelings will always be hurt, man. You'll be tired. Right. You never got control of the game.
That's real.
So if you stay on the offense and let the game come to you, you know, then you'll be all right. And so that's what I do, man, is I try to stay off of defense and try to stay on offense. And whatever life throws at us, we'll deal with it. some things are just to be expected. You know, some things are just to be expected, and I have to understand that, especially having a daughter, man. Like, it's some stuff that you look at your son, you pat him on the head for, and then some stuff you look at your daughter and you just want to hang your head. Like, but I as soon as she came into this world, man, I immediately accepted the fact that she's human.
Yeah.
You know, and her mother was once that same little baby girl.
All right.
She had to grow up.
Straight up.
You know, she grew up and we made a beautiful child together. And one day my daughter is going to be a beautiful woman and she's going to do the same thing. It's a cycle. And so she's going to fall. She's going to make mistakes in life. She's going to run into the wrong men, you know, but at the end of the day, she's going to be human. I can't judge her for any of it.
Straight up.
So.
Straight up. Yeah, and that was going to be one of my questions for you, man. About, you know, how does it has having a daughter changed your outlook on the way that you treat women, the way that you see women?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. I try not to be so judgmental of them. You know, we always gonna have our, I guess you could say, our beefs between male and female.
Yeah.
Even now, she do stuff and I'm like, only a woman would try to do that. You know, like she's got the little Power Wheel car outside or whatever, and she's learning how to drive it. And sometimes she wants to take her hand and press the gas with her hand. And I'm like, hey, no. And that's one of the moments you like, where my son at? But other than that, though, man, I just try not to look at them in a negative light, because at the end of the day, they are human. They just like us, man.
Straight up.
Women are just like us, man. They don't want no more, no less out of life than what we want. Mm-hmm. You know, and so she's entitled to make mistakes.
That's real.
Because if she don't make mistakes, how will she grow and get better?
That's real.
You know, same thing with me and her mother. If we don't make mistakes in life, how will we grow and become better parents?
That's real.
So I have to accept that.
That's real. Man, this is one thing that I have been looking at. You know, I talk with a lot of guys nowadays, a lot of young guys that I work with, and I just be listening in sometimes.
Right.
They're talking about women, talking about they do this, they do that. And I be like, they doing what? It's like, and I just be shocked, bro. Like, dang.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like that now?
Yeah.
You know, like, just 10 years ago when I was out there, it wasn't nothing
like that.
Bro.
No, absolutely, man. Like, now you got stuff like, you got platforms like OnlyFans and
it's real.
Pornhub and
it's real, bro.
And they paying girls.
All right.
You know, they paying girls, and that's one of them offensive things that, hey, you can't play defense on that end. You can't go on that end and play defense, man. Right. Because if you do, you will be hurt. And I had to accept that this is a part of that circle of life, man.
That's real.
And I pray to God that my daughter never indulges in it and become a part of it. But if she does decide one day, for whatever reason, I have to accept it.
Yeah.
You know, as long as everything is legal, of course.
Yeah.
Like, she can't be a minor doing that. But if
straight up,
you know, she become a grown woman and that's what she decides to do, you know, it is what it is. Her mom works at a school, and they're always forever dealing with girls with sex tapes and photos going around. It's like, man, when I was in school,
we ain't had it.
Yeah, we ain't had it. And now it's actually like these kids take pride in it.
Crazy.
They take pride in it. Like it's a part of popularity. Like, I remember you would have been stoned back in our days, man.
For real.
If you did something like that. Like, but now it's like, hey, she got a tape going around. Y'all seen it?
Crazy.
It is very crazy.
And you know, and I was just looking at, just thinking about that, and I started saying, you know, I think nowadays, I think because men have been a certain way for so long,
Right.
you know, it was always, you know, mostly us. You know, if you listen to, you know, most men, you know, rappers and stuff, they would talk about doing certain things, you know, they would be certain ways. And I think now in this day, women are just like, nah, like we ain't just gonna let y'all just do it no more. Like, nah, we gon' flip this thing on its head and we gonna be that now. You know, and just listening to, you know, I listen to certain interviews, certain women and stuff, and they be saying stuff like that, and I'm like, I don't agree with it, but I understand.
Right.
Like, I definitely understand where a lot of them are nowadays because it's been so long. Like, I look at how, you know, when most of the time when you're raising a son, between, like, there's a difference between most of the way how people sometimes raise their son and raise their daughters. So we'll raise our sons like, don't play with a baby doll. Don't play with, you know, or don't play with dolls or whatever. And like, even if it's just a little baby, and we'll tell them, no, boys don't play with little babies.
Right.
But then we teach our daughters, y'all play with babies.
Right.
And then we just beat that into our children's head, and then once our sons grow up, then you see it like
why they don't play. Yeah, they don't play with the baby.
Play with babies, you know?
Right.
And so our sons at times are so ill equipped,
right,
going into fatherhood like I was, you know, because I had never played with babies. I had never understood anything about a baby because I grew up just knowing that we don't mess with babies like that. But when it comes to our daughters, they always talk, you know, y'all play with the baby. So it's like they're playing house with the baby and changing the diaper of the baby and feeding the baby, even as just, you know, play type of stuff.
But then it's a sin, and it's a terrible thing whenever they have a baby at 12, 13, 14, 15 years old.
And that's all we showed them.
That's all we exposed them to.
And it's like, so, you know, because I remember I just observed, you know, I was watching my kids one day, they're at the house, they're playing. My daughters, they got all these little babies.
Right.
And so my son, you know, he's the only boy now, so he was playing with one of the babies one day, and I was about to say something to him, but I'm going to watch him and see what he do. You know, he was just rocking the baby, like kissing the baby how I be kissing them,
right.
You know, putting them down a bit, and he was like patting the baby back. I'm like, he only doing what he see his daddy do. Like, that's what I do to his sister. He see me put them down to sleep and give them a kiss, tell them good night, pat their back sometimes, and or if he wasn't doing that, he getting the baby and he just like putting it in a car, driving up against the wall. I'm like, dang, bro, chill out, you know. And he just like, it wasn't like, oh, he just, people be like, oh, you gonna make him gay or something like that. And I'm like,
no,
man, playing with a little baby.
Yeah.
Like, he sees so many babies around him,
right?
You know, and it's like he just doing what he know.
Bro, it's nothing wrong with that.
Push him up against the wall.
There's nothing wrong with that, man, because what'll happen is, like you said, is whenever he become a father, he'll have an understanding of how you deal with a baby, how you interact with a baby. You got grown men now that are still afraid to actually hold a newborn baby.
That's real.
Hey.
I hear it all the time. And, you know, and I think that's what, I think our daughters, once they grow up, they're like, nah, we ain't on that no more. we not gonna let y'all put us in this box anymore.
Right.
We gonna go and do what we want to do.
Absolutely.
You know, we want to show our behind. We gonna do whatever. Like, this is my life.
And now the way women talk to us, man, is like, hold on. First off, my mother did not raise me like that. Like, it's amazing, man. Is you gotta check women now, like, young lady, I am not a piece of meat. First off,
for real,
you gonna talk to me with some respect. Like,
real,
man, it's amazing. Like, literally, you will have women. Now you got women that'll holler at you.
Man.
That'll pick you out of a crowd. Like, hey boy, come here. Hey boy, where you going? Like, you just look around like, is she talking to me? Is she really talking to me? Man, I had a car with 2 girls. Like, pull up. Where you finna go? I'm just getting off of work. We finna go where you going? No, y'all not. Like, but that's the world we live in now, man.
It's real, bro.
That's the world we live in.
It's totally different, bro. Like, the stories I be hearing when I'm at work, I be like, boy, I think I'm married, bro. I'm good, bro. You know, because the stuff I literally be mind blown. Like, she did what? She said what to you? Come on, bro.
It's real, man.
It's real, bro.
It's real.
I'm like,
real.
Come on, bro. You lying, bro.
Yeah.
You know, and that stuff be blowing me, bro.
It's
it
real.
It really blows me. I want to ask you this, man. How has fatherhood changed you, and what part of fatherhood has impacted your life the most?
Fatherhood, man, going back to what we started our conversation off with. Before I was a father, I was a son. And that's whenever I began to be prepared to be a father. And now that I am a father, I understand what fatherhood is all about. So that's how it impacted me. It impacted me before I actually entered into the brotherhood of fathers. Because whether he knows it or not, my father, he was raising me to be a father. He was showing me the way. And so that's the model that I look at. And, you know, like we discussed, man, he didn't do it perfectly, but he did a good job. Especially for a child that wasn't his. But now that I have a child of my own, I try to be a little bit more in tune with who I am as a person, because your kids are always watching, whether you realize it or not, man. They're always watching, they're always listening, and they'll take on the same traits and habits that you display in front of them. And so I don't try to be perfect, but I try to be what I want what I would want my children to be. I don't plan on having no more kids, but if the good Lord places that in my life, then whatever. But right now with my one daughter, I try to make sure that she sees a good man. She understands what a good man is. And then, you know, if I have another daughter or a son or whatever, I want them to see the same thing. And so, yeah, that's how it's impacted me, man. It's just displaying what was displayed to me.
That's real.
Showing what I was showed. Each one teach one. Mm-hmm. You know, I was taught, and now I'm trying to hand on the same lessons, pass them lessons down.
Mm-hmm. That's real, man. That's, you know, I never really looked at fatherhood that way. Now, I looked at it as like when it comes to marriage, you know, I will always tell young guys, you know, before you get married, become a wife. Before you get married, become a husband before you become a husband. Mm-hmm. Like, start to learn the traits of a husband before you become one. Mm-hmm. I never really looked at fatherhood like that. Like, you know, especially like with raising a son or something, you know, like teach them to be a father before mm-hmm. they become that. That's good. That's real. That's real.
Man, and that's a part of that offense, man. Because then if you ill prepare your son or even your daughter, because if your daughter goes out and has a child from a man that ain't worth nothing,
that's real. Guess
what? Now you on the defense.
All day, boy.
You know, now you on the defense. Just like a lot of grandmothers, especially in the black community, a lot of grandmothers are on the defense because they having to raise their grandkids. Mm-hmm. You know, whether it's their son or daughter's child, a lot of times they find themselves stepping up to do a job that they thought that their child would have done. And so, whether it's your son or your daughter, man, you have to show them just what a good parent is in general. And also, you got to show them what a good father is so that your daughter understands, okay, if this ain't what I see in him, I don't need to have kids from him. And then same thing for your son. If I want her to have my kids, this is what I need to show her. And so, if collaboratively, if we bring that together in our community, we'll see better households. If our sons and our daughters, if they all know what a mother and a father is, and how they should carry themselves and what's expected of them, then we'll have stronger families. But right now, the standard is nobody understands.
Yeah.
Nobody understands. The blessing in it for me and you, even though we came in ill-prepared, is that we have the will and the desire to learn, to make mistakes, but to keep on going. A lot of people make those mistakes, and then they just quit. You got too many mothers and fathers that they don't get along, so guess what happens? One of them just go estranged. The child, because the mother and the father are not getting along, the child either no longer sees the father most of the time, or if the child is with the father, you no longer see the mother.
Dang. It's real, boy.
It's real.
And that's, sadly, that's the reality of too many of our young men and young women out there, all because of relationships.
Right. Right.
That child just never asked.
The family ends when the relationship ends. So now the relationship is no longer intact. The child loses a parent.
Yeah. Because
nobody understood what it took or what it takes to be a mother or a father.
That's real.
And again, most of the time, it's the father. Just being real and just speaking and looking at society. Most of the time, it's the father. Because most mothers aren't willing to give up their child. And most mothers are under the impression that they have to, no matter what, they have to take full responsibility of the child, whether the father's in the picture or not. And so it's few men that say, well, she ain't no good mother, so I'm going to take my child.
I've seen dads that are like, nah, I'm going to get my child. They'll fight for him, and at times that's a hard fight. It's a hard fight. And it's sad that the fight is so hard when it comes to that man, because I've seen situations where literally like that women ain't nothing. Yeah. That's just being an observer. Like, right, man, that woman, like, she is not equipped to take care of that child, but that man is fully, of course you always need a mother and father. I'm a big believer in that. Like, child needs the father and the mother, because God created the mother with certain traits, the father with certain traits. Absolutely. But I've seen situations where that daddy needed that child, but the woman was so just hell bent on, I ain't letting them have my child. Right. When she should just get a baby up. And even I've seen situations where the man is like, I just want to have the child with me. I ain't trying to keep the child away from you. Right. I'm just in a better position than you. Let me have the child. And they just like, nah. And then the child suffers for that.
And let me say this too, man, is that there's a myth that a father can't get full custody of his child. And that's not true. What a lot of times is a lot of fathers aren't willing to fight for that custody. All right. A lot of fathers, willing to fight. Right, and a lot of fathers actually, to be real, they don't want that custody, because now that cuts into their freedom. If me or you as men have sole custody of kids, of our kids, guess what? That no longer can we hop up out the bed at 11 o'clock at night when you get a text message from, hey, what you doing? Come over. Straight up. Straight up. Now you can't have different women hanging out at your house, because you don't want your child being latched on to any and everybody. So it cuts down, it trims down your freedom as a man. And a lot of fathers don't want to deal with that. And so they'll rather just say, whatever, she can have it her way. If she don't want me to talk to the child, then we just ain't got to talk. And it shouldn't be like that. You know,
Straight up.
it shouldn't be like that.
That's real. That's real. I want to transition real quick. Man, what are your thoughts on the recent uptick on the gun violence here in Gainesville?
Man, gun violence is, especially being a member of advisory board member to the police department. Man, we get a lot of the updates and stuff like that before it gets reported to the news, and so I see it firsthand. But a lot of it is driven by lost ones, man, that they never had any type of guidance, you know, especially in this generation now. You know, in our generation and the generation before us, you've seen kids that had a mother and a father at home, and they got into a little trouble here and there. You know, they would leave the house and go live a double life or whatever. But now these kids, they never had that guidance from day one. You know, like you hear about back in the day when you might have had a kid who mother was a teacher and his dad was a police officer or a truck driver. Somebody come from a decent home. Yeah. And, you know, like I said, they would stray away and get into a little trouble. But now you got these kids that you got so many parents where the father is completely absent and the mother's on welfare and living in the projects. These kids, they don't have a chance at all. They don't have a chance at all. You know, I look at like Tupac.
Yeah.
You know, look at his discrepancies and his shortcomings that he had in life. But look at who his mother was. You know, his mother was a strong black woman. Yeah, she had her own shortcomings as well. Yeah. But she was a huge figure in their community.
Straight up.
You know, Shafini Akor was a huge figure in their community. But again, Tupac strayed away from some of the stuff that she taught him. But even in his music, he expresses the appreciation for what she taught him and for who she was as his mother. But now these kids, man, they growing up honestly with hate for their parents because they understand that they failed them. They understand that their parents failed them. And now they don't respect their mothers, they don't respect their father, and they, quite frankly, some of them don't want anything to do with neither one of them. And it's like, whatever, my life will be my life, whatever happens, but I don't want y'all to be a part of it. Yeah. And so that's kind of what I feel like you see now with the gun violence. You know, these kids some of this stuff, man, happens at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and then when they finally catch up with whoever it was, find out it was a 12 or 13-year-old. And it's like, what were you even doing out the house at that time? All right. But when you go to find out, the mother never reported him missing or as a runaway. Mother never even attempted to try to get him back into the house. You know, years ago, 15, 20 years ago, man, if a 12 or 13-year-old left the house, they would be reported missing. Like, somebody would call the police and say, hey, listen, my child. Now it's like, whatever, he do this all the time. He'll come home whenever he come home. So, it's unfortunate, man, but it's these kids, man, they trying to get to so much. They don't have just one MO no more. Like, they selling drugs, they robbing, they breaking into stuff. They don't have just one MO. Whatever is gonna make them some money and get them some notoriety in the streets, that's just what they doing. That's just what they doing.
That's real though. That's real. You remember the kid that I brought with me to the one meeting?
Right.
And,
right.
You know, he just, like you say, he just has so much going on, bro. He has just so many. I mean, it's like issue after issue after issue, and if you don't have the resources to actually, like, real talk, I'm talking about, like, you got to have the resources to bring him out of that.
Yep.
Because if not, he has, so it ain't like he got one issue or two. It's like a whole range of things that, honestly, I don't have the resource to like just give him, you know, all I can do is give him the guidance, you know, just through wisdom, like, yeah, bro, I mean, I don't think you should do this, or I think you should go over here, do this, and it's just up to him to listen. But I be understanding if he don't listen, like, I tell him, like, I mean, I'm just telling you what's up.
Yeah.
Now it's up to you to listen to it, because if not, you know, if you don't listen, then this right here can happen.
Here's the consequences.
I'll still be on your side, bro.
Yep, but this is what we're going to have to deal with.
But that's what you're going to deal with. And, I mean, he just kind of, you know, I stay on top of him, man, just trying to at least text him every other day, you know, checking up on how you doing, bro, how your baby doing, you know, how the job going. You know, he hit me up the other day, which is like, man, bro, I feel good, bro. I finally just got my car. I got me another car. I'm like, man, that's what's up, bro, you know. Yep. And he just told me how he been grinding at work, but, you know, it's still been hard, you know, got this going on. I'm like, look at the bright side, bro. You been working hard. You know, you've been working this overtime. His car broke down, so he just went and got him another car. I'm like, bro, you got the car now, bro. Yep. And like, you should be proud of yourself, because even though you had that situation going on, you still was able to keep your head on straight. And now look, you can see the fruit of your labor.
Yep.
You finally got your whoop. Now you can move around again, bro. You can go do what you need to do. But then again, it's like I say all that, but then, man, I still got this here.
Yep. Have another setback.
I'm like, dang, bro.
And I think you know, in an isolated situation like that, man, I think the number one goal is just getting him to a certain level where he can start to see the surface. It's like being at the bottom of the ocean where it's dark. You know, you look left, you look right, you look up, you look down, you just see darkness. But if you can bring him up, if you can just help him get to a certain level where he can start to see the light of the surface. And then, you know, I've been down and out before. And, okay, you get a job. Okay, now you start working. Now you're able to start putting up some money. All right, now you purchase the first thing that you need, whether it's, you know, getting your own place or getting a car. All right, I can start to see the light now. I can start to see the surface. I'm starting to rise up out of this situation. And it's just, if you can just get him to a certain level, man, the next thing is, okay, let's look, you know, been on this job for a certain amount of time. Let's see what we can do next. Let's see if we can't get you a better job. You know, because you don't have to be stuck here forever. So let's see if we can get you a better job.
Straight up.
For me, I was blessed because I came into a situation as a high school kid. I was working for the city in high school. And so from there, I went off to school, went into the military. But then I reached a certain point where I lost everything. And then I had to start over. And as a 20, 21-year-old, I was working a job that I had never made so little money, but then also was working a job that it would have been something like what I should have been working as a high schooler. And so I had to get myself back to that level where it's like, okay, cool, I done been to $10 an hour before. I know how to budget myself when I make $10 an hour. Okay, cool. From here, I can try to get up to $12 an hour. Now I got to find me a job where I make $15 an hour. Okay, now I'm making $15 an hour. Oh, I done got a raise. You know, now I'm at 17. And now all of those issues that you've had over time, you learning how to break them down. And so today I could lose everything, but I understand how to recover. I understand that, okay, if I have to go back to making minimum wage, for minimum wage, I try to get myself either a promotion at that job or I just try to find another job making 10 and then so on, you know? And so throughout this, the good thing is he's learning the process. He's learning the process. So hopefully he can come out of the situation. And then if, God forbid, if it ever happens where he falls back down and he loses everything or something, he know the process. He know he can come out. He know that he can come up out of that.
Straight up.
So
that's real. Man, I wanted to ask you about. I know at one point you had opened up one of the first black-owned beauty stores here in Gainesville, and I want you to talk about that experience.
That was a great experience, man. It had been done before. It had been done before. I was probably like the second or third person to do it here in Gainesville, but it was a great experience, man. And it was one of those situations like what I just spoke of, man, where you go through the process, and if you fall down, you understand how to get back up and do it all over again. And so as I was young too when I did it. I was like 26, 27 when I did it. And so as an older, wiser, more mature individual now, I can take those lessons and I can turn around and redo it. And that's actually what I'm in the process of doing now, is trying to get myself back in a good financial situation, a better financial situation, so that then I could turn around. It was a rush situation. I was just young, and I had the money. I saw the opportunity, and I did it.
Yeah.
But it was more to it than that.
Yeah.
You know, with a business, man, it's just like raising a child. You got to have some type of preparation, and I didn't have the preparation. I got money. I can buy products. I see a place for rent. Put it all together and let's just do it. But in business, man, it ain't like that. You know, that's just like you walking down the street. You see a good looking chick. You holler at her. You say, hey, you look good. She said, you look good too. Just because y'all both agree that y'all look good don't mean that y'all run to a hotel and make a baby.
All right.
You know, it's a lot more that y'all got to learn about each other. And that was the case with me, is I had to learn a lot more about myself and about the business so that I can bring it all back together and be successful.
Mm-hmm. That's real. That's real. Would you say, how would you say you were, how much support did you receive from the black community during that time?
Man, on social media, I received an overwhelming amount of support. And even coming in the store, the support was good. It was things on my end that I needed to get together, as far as making sure I had everything that the community wanted and needed in the store, so that they wouldn't come to me and have something that they were looking for, have a problem that I couldn't help them resolve. And unfortunately, the Korean-owned stores, their products, man, like they had it just the products is just unlimited. Yeah. Like they just buy any and everything. And being black, that's one of the upsides, is that you know what you need. Yeah. Like I can go into their store and I can point out things. People don't buy this. People don't wear this. We don't use this. We don't use that. Yeah. And I know, okay, I don't need to buy that for my store. But you still can't come up short either. Mm-hmm. And I was coming up short on some products that I needed. And also, this is like just little small stuff, man. It's some stuff people want giant size of it because they use large amounts of it. And then some stuff people want small containers of it because they don't use that much of it. And it's like I say, it's just a lot to learn about the business. Yeah. It's a lot to learn about the business, as well as learning about yourself and learning how you deal with certain issues and your critical thinking and stuff like that. When a customer comes in with a complaint about a product, you know, are you going to be the nice guy that takes everything back like Walmart? Yeah. Or are you going to be the mean guy that don't take nothing back like other races? You know, a lot of the Korean stores, whatever, once you walk out the door, they're not taking it back. No matter what. And so it's a lot to learn. It's a lot to learn, man. But it's a beautiful process. It's a beautiful process, and we can do it as blacks. Not only can I do it, but we can do it. Anybody, I told somebody the other day, if I can do it, anybody can do it. Straight up. We can all have successful businesses. It's just, it takes time, it takes patience, and you have to be willing to get yourself in a good financial situation to be successful. And just because if it's going to take you $30,000 to open that business, Just because you got $29.99 in the bank or $29 and $999 in the bank, don't mean you go run and open that business. Yeah. You know, make sure you got 50 in the bank. All right. So you got at least 20 to fall back on. Yeah. And like I say, as a young entrepreneur, man, that was one of the mistakes. Is I would set a financial goal for myself, and once I reach that financial goal, it's time to take off. But it don't work like that. You know, you reach that financial goal, you put it up, and then you turn around and you set another financial goal. Mm-hmm. I need 30 grand to open this business. Boom, get your 30, sit on it. Yeah. Now I need 15, 20, 25 for me in case of a rainy day or something go bad. Mm-hmm. Then you turn around, you get that. So that's a little note for the young entrepreneurs out there. That's real, man. What has been the biggest challenge for you when it comes to fatherhood? I wouldn't even say it's necessarily evolving around the fatherhood. I think it's more so around co-parenting. Yeah. Is whether y'all are together or not, y'all aren't always going to agree on everything. Mm-hmm. That was one of my first lessons, man, is that no matter how good you think it is for the child, or no matter how good the other parent thinks it is, there's going to be times that y'all disagree. You know, you might want to put your child in the best daycare. The other parent might say, well, that's too far out of our way, or we can't afford that right now, or I want to go over here because this is where I was raised at. You know, it's just different things, man, and you'll have your beliefs and they'll have their beliefs, and you know, y'all are gonna bump heads, but you gotta learn how to get past it, how to get through it, and how to work together as a team. And that's probably the hardest thing. If I could say, that's probably the hardest thing, man, because for me at least right now, my daughter's she's too young to be any type of issue in my life. Like she's 3 years old, so I don't have no problem with no 3-year-olds. Yeah. I don't have no problem with no 3-year-olds, man, with no toddlers. I ain't got no beef with no toddlers. Yeah. But a mama, sometimes, you know, like I said, man, sometimes we can get in each other's way, trying to co-parent, and you know, you have to learn how to work together as a team. And you have to learn that. You also have to learn and accept that it's not about you. Yeah. You know, I wanted my daughter to go to school this year, but with this pandemic and stuff like that, I had to realize right now it's not about me. Yeah. Her mom was worried about it. I said, we'll play it by ear. And then I reached the point and said, nah, it's not. This ain't the time. Yeah. It's just not the time. And so I had to go to her and say, hey, listen, I agree. Right now ain't the time. Yeah. Let's hold off, and we'll revisit the idea later. Yeah. So that's what we're doing. Yeah.
And see, when you say that, like I always tell people, in marriage it's the same thing, bro. You still have to co-parent, even within the same house.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's so because we all grew up different. You know,
got different ideologies.
You might grow up on the east side, she might grow up on the west side. Yep. You know, and the west side do things this way, east side do. Yep. You know, and it's like it always has to be that compromise. Mm-hmm. You know, you always have to, like you said, it can't always just be about you. Yep. You know, and that's something that I'm still learning in marriage after 8 years. You know, being with my wife for this year going on 11 years. You know, and we're still trying to learn how to compromise with one another, you know, especially now that we have children. It's like, man, we gotta be on one accord. Yep. You know, I might not always agree with everything she say. Mm-hmm. She might not always agree with me, but we gotta find that common ground where I can say, if this doesn't go my way, it ain't gonna kill me.
Mm-hmm.
Now I might take a hit to my pride, but my pride got to be pushed to the side. You know, I can't just fully always lean on my pride. Like, man, it got to be like this. Or I got to be, you know, sometimes you just got to say, you know, like you said, bro, it ain't about me in certain situations, you know, because, you know, that's how problems start for real.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when it's like,
pride,
it's always my way. You know, and I've been that person, you know, and my wife has had to tell me at times, you know, everything always got to be your way. Yeah. You know, and I thank God for my wife.
Man, I'd be a rich man for every time I done heard that, I'd be a rich man.
Man, boy, I'm telling you, boy, and my wife would keep it real with me, you know, and she'll tell me straight up, you know.
But they also have to understand too.
Yeah.
It take two to tango.
All right. Oh yeah, and she'll know because I tell her too. You know, and I just always be liking to see, you know, like to understand, you know, and I'll be able to see like, yeah, you right, because I do be like that. Mm-hmm. But then again, you
the same way.
You have no certain things, and let's both work on this thing together. You know,
I'm not standing here arguing with myself.
All right, that's real, and like I said, like when it comes to marriage. That's one big thing. Me and my wife, we worked on that thing so much, like in the last year. Like even just last week, we just had to come to a point where we were just like, okay, it's another one of the times where we need to sit down and say, what is it can I work on and what can you work on? Like, and it's just periodically, we literally have to just sit down and, you know, put it all out there.
That's a good thing though, man, is that y'all allowing the relationship to evolve and grow. Mm-hmm. And being able to have those type of conversations is important because a lot of people don't want to sit down and have a hard conversation. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't want to sit down and be critiqued and told about themselves.
That thing, they're real, boy. I be getting mad, boy. You like, so what you trying to say?
Right.
And when you hear it, especially with somebody that you love, you know, and that you really in, like, you know, like your wife, you know, like, it's hard to hear her say, you know what, you don't do this. What you mean?
Right.
Like, you know, and I just, like, and I literally just got to be like, bro, you tripping, bro. Just hear out.
Just hear out.
You know, and really just look deep. And I'd be like, yeah, but it just hurts sometimes to just hear it, like, hey, bro,
most definitely, man.
Like, what you...
But you also have to understand, man, it's easy for somebody that live with you and they always around you to critique you.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they gonna bring the hard facts and the hard truth of reality. And then also, they gonna develop certain ideas about you also that may or may not be true just because they live with you, they with you every day. You know, if you do something every so often that they don't like, they gonna make it seem like you do it every single day. And it's like, no, that is not true. So you know, you just have to learn how to take it with a grain of salt and also how to filter out certain stuff. But you can't be over filtering it either though. You know, if she's saying you always leaving the toilet seat up and you know, man, I left the toilet seat up yesterday morning and this morning. I know I've been doing good with putting the toilet seat down. You know, just make sure you don't leave the toilet seat up tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's one thing I learned also. I was reading a book or something, watching. I heard it somewhere. That was like, in marriage, don't use always or it was. Try not to use always or all the time, like. You know, because then, like you say, like, you leave it up all the time. Like, bro, I don't do that all the time.
I know I don't do that all the time.
Like, you can't say, and it's like, so just say, you know, at times you do this, or, you know, or sometimes you might, because when you start using that always and all the time, it's like,
now you lying on me. We got to speak facts.
All right.
Yeah, don't sit here and make up a false narrative about me. Like this is something that I do every single day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree, man. And that's one thing, you know, and especially as an adult, man, you're gonna always feel the need to step up and defend yourself.
That's real.
And when somebody coming at you and they saying something that you know is not true, you step up, you defend yourself, and now it turns into this big old clash. That's because real. They felt the need to tell you, you felt the need to defend yourself, and now we stuck in this cycle because I'm not gonna back down. I'm not gonna sit here and let you lie on me.
Yeah, straight up.
So I understand that, man. I definitely understand that, and that's a good lesson. Don't use always and all the time.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah, it's marriage, boy. That does teach you a lot of lessons, boy. It'll teach you a lot, dog.
Most definitely, man. That's one of the hardest things to do, man. That's one of the hardest things. You see people been in the marriage game 25, 30 years, man, and they throw their hands up.
Yeah.
It's like, what happened? Like, after all this time, y'all just want to let it go?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's real, dog. But I would say marriage has made marriage on top of fatherhood. What I think, those two things have changed me so much, bro.
Yeah.
And I've learned so many lessons in both of them. And it's just made me a better man, just made me a better person, period, you know, because I've learned so much about myself through my children.
Yep.
And also through my wife.
Yep.
You know, like, especially with my children, you know, you see yourself so much.
I was about to say, your children show you some stuff, man, because you look at them and be like, that's something your mama would do. That's something I would do. Yeah. You know? And you understand where they get certain things from. Yeah. Because, like I say, you look and you see them walking and talking, you know, they look like you, they sound like you and stuff like that, man. They're behaving like you. Then you understand where the problems come from or where they had come from or whatever.
That's real. That's real, man. I got this one here, man. One of the fun questions. What TV dad are you most like, and which one is your favorite?
Probably like Chris Rock dad, man. The cheapo. But I try not to be like that. Like my daughter, I'm guilty of spoiling her, but I don't make it easy on her either. Like the other day, she liked Minnie Mouse. We was in Walmart, and the ears was cheap. It was some little Minnie Mouse ears. Yeah. They was like $3 and something. I don't know. And so I told her, I said, well, we'll come back and because her birthday, like I tell you, her birthday is Monday. I told her, I said, we'll come back and we'll get them for your birthday. And she looked around like, this told me. I can't believe. She's looking around. All right, here you go. Like, here you go. Here he is. Like, let's just get him now. But yeah, the reaction that she really just started looking around. I can't believe he just told me no. Like, but my favorite TV dad, man. That's a good one, actually. That's a real good one, man. This has been so many TV dads, man. I think Uncle Phil was a great TV dad because he didn't treat Will no different than he treated his other kids. All right. And he stepped up to be the father figure in Will's life. And like I said, I've had that in my own life, and so I can definitely relate to that, and I can feel that love, man, watching Fresh Prince. And I admire, I have an admiration, man, because it's not easy, even as somebody that grew up with a father that wasn't theirs but took great care of them. You know, I have to remind myself of that. Like, just because a woman has kids doesn't mean that you should push her to the side and make her a non-candidate. Yeah. Because whatever happened between her and their father happened. But it doesn't mean that, okay, well, I got to disqualify her because she got kids. Because if my dad had done that, then I'd be fatherless. Man, again, I was a newborn. I was 6 months old. But going back to the question, man, yeah, watching Uncle Phil raise Will as one of his own kids, man, that is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, and we definitely need more of that in our community, man, because whether we realize it or not, man, it doesn't just happen in the black community. It happens in white communities as well, man, where even I was watching the news the other day, and this woman said, it was a white woman, she said she referred to her husband, and then she referred to her kid's father. And I was taken back by that. I was like, oh, wow, a white woman with a husband, and then she got, this other situation over here with, and it happens, man. It's not just in our community. It happens. Right. But in our community, we got to have more men that are willing to step up and not just get close to the mother, but help raise, help raise any other child that she might have. And same thing for whenever we bring kids into our household. Don't treat them as a guest. Treat them as one of our kids. That's real. Bring them in, man. Make yourself at home. I'm gonna reward you, and I'm gonna punish you just like you one of my kids. So, and that builds a solid relationship, man, and that gives that person something, or that child, that gives them something or someone to look to whenever, like you said, growing up, man, and you need somebody to talk to, he gonna be non-biased, because even though I wasn't his child, he always rewarded me and punished me like I was. So I know he's non-biased. Now, if you only reward him, like, or you only punish him, they gonna look at you like, all right, well, he don't really treat me like one of his kids. He too hard on me, or he too soft on me. People know that. That's real. People know that. People know how you treat them. But when you just non-biased, man, that's a very valuable thing. Especially when when you raising a child that's not yours. That's very valuable. And again, going back to the question, that's what Uncle Phil, he always was non-biased with Will. Non-biased completely. So
that's real. That's good right there. That's good. What advice would you give? You can go back, right now with the same knowledge that you have today. What would you tell an 18-year-old Fareed Johnson?
Man, you got a lot to learn. You don't know everything. You're going to make mistakes. Just keep on going. Don't let life get you down. Don't let anybody else get you down. Take care of your money. Yeah. But whatever happens, but you'll deal with it. You'll get through it. You get by it. And life will go on. Because there's a lot of stuff, man, you face in life, and you think the world is about to end. Yeah. You think that's it, and it's not. It's not.
Straight up. That's real. So, last question. If you had, if there's any young fathers out there listening right now, what would you say to them today? What advice would you give them?
Man, take pride in being a father. Research, read, talk to people. Don't get caught up in what you should be doing. A lot of times we like to tell, and I'm sure older women tell young girls the same thing, but I've only lived life as a man, of course, so I always hear older men tell us younger men, man, you only 20, you only 25, you only 30. You live your life, which is true, but don't let it get in the way of being a father. If you got a child, man, don't waste your time being immature. Don't waste your time. If your child, is with you, if you and the mother are not together, or if y'all are together, man, be in place when you need to be in place. If it's your weekend, be in place. Be at home with your child. If you got the mother and the child at home, take your butt home. Yeah. Go home, spend your time with them. Wake up the next day, reset the clock, and whatever it is that you need to do, go do it. And I'm talking about a lot of recreational stuff, man. Don't hang out too late. You got to set yourself a curfew, man. Hey, listen, I know they like to go to sleep at 10 o'clock, so I need to be home by 8:30, 9 o'clock. If it's card night or whatever, communicate and still come home though. But you see a lot of young fathers, man, that get caught up in not wanting to or not realizing that they need to be spending more time at home and less time in the streets, less time hanging out. It ain't doing nothing for you.
Straight up.
It ain't doing nothing for you, man. You ain't coming home with no more money than what you gonna come home with on Friday when you get paid.
All right.
So just, unless you engaging in some illegal stuff, and that ain't no good. Don't play Jeopardy with your freedom.
Straight up.
Don't gamble with your freedom, man. It ain't worth it. It's definitely not worth it, especially when you got a child. So that's my best advice.
Straight up. That's some real advice. So for any young father out there listening, man, take heed. Take heed, man. Go back. Listen to this interview, man. Get that wisdom. Continue learning, continue expanding your mind. Hearing from other fathers, hearing their experiences, hearing their downfalls, hearing their struggles, seeing where they were right, seeing where they were wrong, do whatever you can to continue to learn and continue to be a student of life more than anything, that was great advice that my brother gave, man. And, value your freedom, value your children, value your family, man, value yourself.
Amen.
Don't ever lose sight of, who you are, and what you were created for, because we all have a purpose, and, it's up to us to find that and continue to push forward in life, man. Don't ever give up. Don't ever feel like you don't matter. Don't ever feel like no one cares. Reach out. For anyone that does listen to Dad Can We Talk, or listens to any of these episodes, if you're listening to this one, y'all know me. And if you don't know me, man, you can reach out to me anytime. If you ever see me around, you see me on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, hit me up, man. I'm always willing and I'm down to talk, but I want to be serious, and I'm going to tell you what's real. And, yeah, man, Fareed, well, I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate you, though. It's been a real pleasure, man. I pray this thing takes off, man. It's continuing. I see it growing. I see your stats you posting and stuff like that, man. And I pray, man, much success to you, man. There's a lot of other platforms that started just like this, man. One of the ones I just recently discovered is the Dad Gang. I like it, man. Yeah, most definitely. Check out Dad Gang. Let's see if we can't help them get an extra 100 followers, extra 200 followers, which they're already over 100K. But it's a beautiful thing, man. And unfortunately with the pandemic and stuff, man, we gotta try to do it here. I think I tagged you in it on Instagram. But what they like to do is strolling with the homies.
Yeah,
which
okay,
is
man.
Man, I saw some guys doing that, man, one day, and it wasn't even anything organized, man. It was just something they was doing. It was like 3 or 4 friends, man, that just was taking a nice walk with their kids, Yeah. And that's what strolling with the homies is, man, and just getting together, getting some dads together with their kids, man, and just taking a stroll, man. Yeah. Taking a nice stroll. So, shout out to Dad Gang and. Like I said, any other platforms that's out there, man. And huge shout out to Dad Can We Talk for having me on today.
That's real, man. We gonna get to that strolling with the homies, but I love to do something like
Most
that.
definitely, man. I think that'd be so dope, bro. Man. I think that'd be so dope.
Yeah,
most definitely,
man. I'm gonna try to start working on that next week. I'm gonna hit some guys up, man. See if we can set something up.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it, dog. Let's do it.
I want to do that, bro. For real. But yeah, man. That wrap up first episode of season 3 of Dad Can't We Talk. Y'all continue to stay tuned. Continue to take care of your families, all your fathers out there. Love y'all. Appreciate you. Appreciate the support. Holla at y'all.
Believe it, they lie. I made some mistakes.